A warm welcome to everyone. We're very happy that you all found the way into this Zoom room and to this topic. And before or to start into our session, I would like to give everyone 1 or 2 minutes that we are not disturbed with all the other entrances that are coming along. So for 1 minute, I invite you to actually stand up and move your body, because this will be a whole day. Give your bodies a movement. And switch on your camera so we see that you're actually doing it. Some stretches, wiggling your body, shake it, get your system flowing. Hello, everyone. You're in the right session. We're just getting our body moving before our mind gets some food. So we use the time that everyone is having to get in with some preparation for a long, long day. Thank you. Still people coming in. Nice.
Yes, 30 already.
Wow.
Right?
Okay, let's start. I would like to invite you that I let you guide you for a little meditation. And I invite you to close your eyes. To close your eyes and not do anything else in this 1.5 minute, 2 minutes. I will guide you through the meditation, but become fully present to this moment. And I invite you to take some breath in and feel this easiness, this lightness that is increasing when you're taking some breath. And I invite you to this moment where you decided to join this session on storytelling, on the practice of inner sociocracy. You could be on so many other panels or so many other places in this world right now. Why did you choose to come here? What are your hopes? What was your inspiration? What is maybe a question you bring along? And I invite you to let all the other thoughts that you might have around this morning, around the rest of the day, the rest about the conference, to pass by just like the clouds on the sky, and to become more and more present and focused on this one session, so you can listen and be part with an open heart, with an open mind, and with an open will, so that something new can be born today. And with this focus, take some more breath. And when you're ready, come back with opening your eyes. And may we have a wonderful storytelling session on inner sociocracy. Pierre.
Yes. Press. What about us? Well, I live in Italy. I come from Belgium, so you understand why this strange name for an Italian. And I discovered sociocracy through a transition time movement. I was leading a transition initiative in Italy, in Ferrara, where I lived. And the question came one day why we are using all this cooperative or co-generative approach, and we use majority-minority approach to decide. So it was like breaking a nice flow of collaboration and cooperation. And then there I discovered sociocracy. And in 2007, when SOFA just put itself out on the web, it was just the moment I was there, and so I become the member, the first member, we say with Ted and Jerry. We have fun about it, and since then I follow I'm into Sociocracy for All, and I followed all the history, and doing this, I'm trying to start this in Italy. That is a different setting, different culture, and that's incredible. And in this path, in this story, I met Lisa, that is in Austria, and then I give her the the baton of talk.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Lisa. I live in Austria. I am into sociocracy, or working with sociocracy, since 2016. I am a sociocratic trainer, expert, facilitator. I work with schools, organizations, with mainly the people who are already open to sociocracy, and I enjoy it a lot. And I got to know Pierre, and it was meant to be that we share a lot of thoughts about sociocracy. And today we want to focus on not sociocracy, the way how it is used to in organizations or in groups, but we want to have a look on how is sociocracy impacting myself? Because we were both experiencing, Pierre and me, some differences or some transitions. Not only that we enjoyed through sociocracy the work in groups, the teamworks, but also that we saw, or that we realized how the different elements of sociocracy were coming into our own thoughts and our own decision makings. Pierre, would you like to start sharing our presentation for some guidance?
Yes, and I will add one thing to what you were saying. My approach was also based on a need, because in Italy I was not the very first person, the second one, because it was a friend of mine that said, "Hey, Pierre, there is this sociocracy that you should know, because I think you will like it," and she was true. And then I had nothing to try out, and I'm a person that like to try things first, and then when I got some of it, I can continue and experiment with others. So the need to experiment it with myself, not in an inner way, really at the beginning, but practicing with what I could do, was this at the beginning. That was this movement, this intention. Let's try it for myself. And then when I see that it works, I will bring it also outside. So now I look for the presentation.
And Pierre and me, we have a subtitle for our presentation. And this is called "Some Methods Are Too Awesome to Only Use It in Teams." So also for us, we see that sociocracy is giving so much value to the inner practice of leadership, of decision making, of innovation, and also on how to governance with your inner team. And after a few years of practicing with the two of us and exchanging a lot about it, we are ready to share our stories and experiences with it, and want to open the community of practice of inner sociocracy. So I want to give already the overview that the both of us, Pierre and me, right after this talk, we will host an activity where we are going deeper into actually the practice of inner sociocracy. So Pierre, maybe you want to share in a few sentences what your practice will be about, so the people can think about on which one they might want to go deeper during our talk.
Yeah. What I used this experience that I was doing and I was sharing with Lisa and hearing her was in the training moment, where one time I started to ask myself, okay, there is a training experience, then there is a reality. How can I build the bridge between these two? But also the first step of the bridge, the first bricks of the bridge. So how can a participant in a training can start to do right away some little experiments? So inner sociocracy gave me some hints, and now I'm doing these experiments during my trainings.
And I will invite you to actually think about what your inner sociocratic team would look like. And I will also guide you through a inner consent decision. So everyone who has some questions, that are burning and you're kind of stuck, or there is not a lot of movement, come and join the second activity and we will go through a consent decision process. And now let's start with some storytelling. Pierre, for our stories, we have the focus on 4 different sociocratic principles. Everyone who is familiar with sociocracy will already know. Pierre, what will we go on?
So today there will be one basis, I think, that is at the heart of everything. This the lead do measure, so the feedback process, how you can learn by feedback. Then I will talk about selection, how I used selection with a friend to find his inner consent on which job proposal to choose, starting from his current job position. He received 2 new job proposal, and his life, and I will tell you how he done it. And also I will tell you about how I decided take a very tough decision at a certain moment. That's where I discovered inner sociocracy. So that's my 2 topics. So inner consent and selection process. How can you apply it to yourself?
And I will share 2 stories with the main focus on lead to measure, and 1 story about how I use circles and roles in inner decision making. And we invite you to listen with an open mind, and with the questions, or actually we invite you with the Words, English words, where are you? We like you to feel where are the moments where you're touched by the stories. We want to invite mainly the heart and not the brain on the stories. That's everything for the frame. So yes, sensing. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. And we have the 4 stories. And after the 4 stories, we will have an open space for dialogue, for reflection, where we want to hear what you sensed and what is coming out from the stories to you. Let's enjoy the first story on Pierre, with Pierre.
So I really like this word sense, because that's the first time I sensed that I could use sociocracy to make a tough decision. So it's really, and it's in this is what happened. I was having a relationship that was going to an end, and I was very sad about it, and very angry, and very fearful, and at some time, at some moment, I realized that I had this different perspective inside me, no? And also, and they were all speaking something different. So that's when I sensed that, hey, maybe if I hear all the voices and isolate them, I can have a sense of what's going on. And maybe I can take a decision. And perhaps I can use consent. That's what happened at this moment. So what I made, it was very simple. I took the Post-it, the bigger one, and I, like you see in the picture, I started to isolate the voices. So to write the very essence of what the voices was telling me. And as you see, there was 5 voices, so 5 different, let's say, characters. And I displayed them in front of me like it was a circle, like you see in the picture. So at a certain moment, I was like, okay, this is the circle of voices inside of me. Okay. Then I said, oh, let's put something a little bit more in this. And I said, after I synthesized every voice, so very synthetic message they were telling me how sad I was, or how angry I was, for what I was angry, and so on. I decided to put also a little emoticon, you know, the little faces with a smile or bad faces, just to give the space to also emotions. Okay. Then I was looking at this and asked myself, okay, which proposal I can write that will consent to? All these voices will consent. And the proposal was about, should I end this relationship or not? And I wrote a proposal, not aiming for the best proposal, not aiming for perfection, because I knew that after I should ask to every voice if they consent to it, and hear if they had objections. So I wrote my proposal. It took me not very long, 5 minutes perhaps. And then I look at each Post-it and say, ask it, do you consent to this proposal? 2 of them had objections. I worked with them. So I rewrite the proposal, and then I get consent from every voice. And this already was like, wow. So this was at the beginning a very tough decision for me. Well, very emotional, was very triggered by this. No, you can imagine stopping a relationship with somebody that I loved, and I was thinking that was not working, the dynamics between us, and so. But so I get clarity, and this helped me a lot. But there was another things happening after. And it was that then I met my partner. I spoke about my decision, and I was very calm, very centered, able to hear her and to respond to her and to have a dialogue with her. And we ended up the relationship like as friends. And this is also the other part that really struck me. So that this process gave me this, through an inner consent, the center, I centered myself and I was secure. I was feeling secure and open to carry on this decision. And I will just I will just add a little things that one of the main struggle for me, like a trainer in a training setting, so not training about inner concept, that is to say people, okay, one thing is taking decision with consent, and then the other most important thing is what happened next, because you will see, you will be able to support much more the decision that you have taken as a group, as a team, as a circle. So this is my first story. To you, Lisa.
Thank you, Pierre. I invite you all to write down your thoughts or write down your questions to this story, and we will move on in a minute.
Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, let's move on to the second story. Thank you for the feedbacks and questions already in the chat. So I am self-employed since 2016, and it was already very early that I made this decision for myself. And I've never been, of course, self-employed before that. So there is always this first time to do this. And after 1 or 2 years, I was very, very overwhelmed with all the different roles, all the different parts you have to cover when you're self-employed and you don't have any employees and you're just there by yourself. And I think it was one day where I had this mind-blowing moment where I was like, hey, why don't I apply the sociocratic roles and the circle structure for my own business? Even though I'm only one person, I can give myself different roles in my daily business life. And this was the start of a very different experience on being self-employed or entrepreneurial. So I had a sit with myself and started to create my inner sociocratic circle for my business. And these are the 5 main roles you see here that are very consistent over the last few years. So I thought that I want to have my higher self in this circle that is for me like a guidance, a higher guidance. Then I, of course, had to have a chief of finance because I was not really good on calculating my fee. I did a lot of jobs for free or for low money. So it was like, okay, how would my business life would change if I would have a chief of finance in my circle? Then I introduced the Ministry of Health into my circle because I have a lot of, or I had a lot of back pain, and want to have something installed that that will take care of me, so that I will have a balance. And then I had a manager of public relations, because I'm very good in PR, I'm very good in marketing, and I needed this manager of public relations that I will get new jobs. And because I love collaboration, I also wanted to have a team player in this circle. So what I do is I check in with these different roles from time to time when there are also some major decisions that I need to take, or when I feel that something in myself is not really feeling round, or when I feel that I have an inner objection to something. And then I check in with the different roles and say, hey, is there something what you need? Is there something you object with? This is one thing what I do. And the other thing is what I do is that I actually speak from the different perspectives with my environment. Mark, you asked already Pierre if he spoke from one role to his wife. And what I do, especially when it comes to discussing my daily fee or the price of my work, is that I say, hey, my chief of finance says we cannot do it for this price. You need to give me something more. And this empowers me a lot to that I can speak very clear and lead myself through discussions where if I would come not very clarified with these roles, it would be very difficult to be like very direct. What else? And for example, my Ministry of Health had a proposal to buy a treadmill for my office to care for my health. So that's why I have a treadmill in my office now. And everyone said like, okay, yes, that's a good solution, that we are not losing the overall goal to be able to work. That is one of the latest decisions I made with this team. Yes, that was the little story about my inner sociocratic circle for entrepreneurial decision making. Thank you for listening. And again, I invite you to have 1 minute of response time to see what are the things that touched you, what are questions that made arose. Then we go on with the third story.
shall we go? Looking at the time. Okay, so this story happened because a friend of my partner was having at the job, and he received two job proposals from two different cooperatives. He works in education and with migrants and support them, or people with different abilities and so on. And he's very good, so a lot of people know him, and they propose him new jobs continuously, all the time. So in this moment, he had two job proposals. So I said, oh, maybe we can apply, and I explained him what is the selection process. Okay. And so I told him, if you want, I can facilitate your process. Then what come out, you decide. I mean, but it can help you get clarity, get more clarity on which one you want to decide, because he was not very sure about it. So in the first part of the selection process, there is like the understand part. No? In Sociocracy, we divide in two parts, the process, the decision process in three parts. So it's understand, explore, decide. And you can see them here, the three frames that define these three steps. So the first part is understanding. So what was important for me, that he understand what was his current situation. So what he was liking and not liking in his current job, and what was his family situation. He had two kids. There was one kid that was given to the family from another family that couldn't keep it. And so it was was not a normal situation. So they had specific needs, okay, and attention to specific things happening in the family. So we made this list, and it was like doing like it was like for him the starting point, like the description of what is my current situation and my current role. You know? Then we consented to the list to say, okay, is this good enough? Like a representation of the picture of what it is now in your life? Said yes, and then we continue. Then what I make him, what I facilitated him, it was like, okay, now I choose selection because you have two options. So you don't have to choose, you don't have to find one decision, but you have two possibilities, and you have to choose from them. So starting from his assessment of his current life, family and job, say, please write down the two job proposals. First, writing what you like of one, then what you like of the other, the highlights, what is good for you, and then what are the minus. So I will say the even better if. So to give you an example, the good thing was the payment, so of what it was paid, but the even better if it was closer. So I couldn't stay. I had to spend a lot of time traveling, and it would be expensive, and I could not stay with my family. The other one was closer, but it was paid less. So it was like in this case, it was really like a mirror of the two. And so he wrote them down. He got clarity about them, and then he started to choose which one could be the best for him. And noting the thing that even better if, choose one, and the even better if became the one that he will, how do you say in English? It will find agreements with the employer. So it was like he had some objections. He bring them to the employer, and they contracted on some of them. So some of them changed, and some of them couldn't change. So he got a better. It was a better job better condition that it was at the beginning. That was the initial proposal. And so this was the third story about selecting two job proposals, and now we can use this selection process to decide between different options when you have them in your life.
Same procedures every time. Take a minute to gather your thoughts, and then we will hear the last story. Okay, then the last story about lead to measure. I will share my story about their journey with me and my tiny house. This journey is very long. So since it started 6 years ago, actually, where I first had this thought of, hey, wow, it would be so adventurous to live in a tiny house. And since then, a lot of things happened, and I am very, very, very happy that I have this wise and adventurous decision flow, how Pierre and me call the lead to measure for in a sociocracy, to guide me through this. So until last summer, I was still in the inner consent that it's good enough that I just think about having a tiny house, but not actually have one or live within one. And last summer, this feeling changed, or this inner decision changed. I felt that I had an objection about only dreaming about it and planning. I have a big, big booklet on how I would design my tiny house, on different ideas and storage ideas and whatsoever. And last year, I came to this point where I said, hey, okay, I feel that I have, that I need some inner talk, because I really want to have this tiny house. It will fulfill so many things in my life that I need to go through this decision flow and see if I'm ready to actually get a tiny house. At this point of time, I actually didn't really know on how I will use the tiny house. And during this lead to measure process, where you can see here, I shaped a proposal that that even though I don't know yet how I actually will use the tiny house, it's still safe enough to buy the tiny house if I get the money from the bank. So I decided to buy it, and only then go into the next decision flow and see how will I use the tiny house. I knew that there were enough opportunities to actually use the tiny house. And this is very interesting maybe for you. that within the proposal, there was also the inner allowance that it actually could happen that I sell the tiny house after half a year again. But for my inner process, it was really, really important that I actually do this step, that I actually go in, buy it, have something on my own, my own key on my keychain where I can decide, do I give it away or not? And during the last year, I actually was in a state where I didn't I was not ready, or me and my partner were not ready that I move into the tiny house. And I decided to sell it. What I did was that I put the price a little bit higher, because that was my entrepreneurial me speaking. If I sell it, I want to get some money out. So to get a bonus from this journey. And the funny thing was that it didn't sell. So what happened was that I went into another wise, adventurous decision flow with myself this spring or this winter actually, and thought, okay, the tiny house doesn't want to go. What do I need at the moment? And during this half year, a lot of changed in my partnership as well. And so now in April, a year later, after I bought it, I'm actually starting to move into my tiny house for, I don't know, the next 1 or 2 or 3 years, and then we will see again. And I like to share this story with you because I want to inspire you that there is nothing set into stone, even with your own decisions. Go step by step into your life and see what is needed now. What do I need now to take the next step in my life? And then evaluate again. Lead yourself into the next wise and adventurous phase. Do it and then measure, and then do the whole process again and again and again, and have fun during that. Thank you for listening.